Details from this morning's licensing authority hearing on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Monday, July 8th, 2013. I'm Sarah Mannel. There may soon come a day when you could exchange your broken cell phone for cash. A San Diego-based business wants to open a kiosk at the Cape Cod Mall that would do just that. Nicole Wagner from Eco ATM Incorporated went before the licensing board this morning to apply for a new junk dealer license. Wagner explained how the kiosk would operate.
So it's an unmanned kiosk. It kind of looks like a red box or a Coinstar. And the customer will put their cell phone in the machine and it will appraise the machine and give the customer a quote for their phone, and if they want to proceed, they show a picture of their driver's license, and we get an image of their driver's license and take a picture of the customer. And there's a live attendant in San Diego making sure that the driver's license is current and the customer is over 18. And that the ID matches the picture, and then the machine will take the phone and give the customer cash for their phone.
Preventing theft was a concern for some members of the board. Officer Stephen Marr had a few questions for Wagner. Marr wanted to make sure the business would comply with the town's current junk dealer regulations.
Question first. At any time, does any of the value of the phones exceed $50?
Sometimes, yes.
According to our regulations, any sale over $50 has to be paid by check.
Has to be paid by check.
Yes.
Okay, we're working on that in Connecticut because that's the law in Connecticut. I can talk to my company and see if we could set the max price at 50, or if we could maybe hold the phones of greater value for a longer period of time at our headquarters to ensure that they aren't stolen. And if they are stolen, we without a police report, we'll send the phone back to you as soon as we receive it.
How often is the machine serviced, and how often are the cell phones taken out of the machine?
So we have an armored car come around every week. So the phones will either be in the kiosk from one day if they're dropped that day into the kiosk, or 7 days if it went the day after the last pickup.
Another part of the regulation is that any property that's taken in has to be held at the site for 20 days.
And on-site?
Yes.
We could hold it at our headquarters for 60 days or 90 days or 40 days.
Unfortunately, the regulation says on premise for 20 days.
On the premises?
Yep.
Is there any way to get an exception for that, or?
Mr. Chairman, I think, unfortunately, this opens up a situation where a different type of kiosk might come in and ask for the same type of accommodation, where it could be a gold or silver or something like that. And you're loosening up the regulations quite a bit by not having someone present there to actually physically check the item, number one. Number two, not allowing it to be held on site. If it's taken off site to some other location, granted, a cell phone in and of itself probably isn't an item that's normally, for lack of a better description, fenced, but if this is allowed, then next might be jewelry, might be cameras, might be something else.
The board wants more time before approving Eco ATM's request. Barnstable officials will use the extra time to talk with other Bay State communities about how they prevent theft and monitor the business. Eco ATM will be back before the licensing board July 29th. The Beech Tree Cantina was also before the licensing board this morning. The restaurant was requesting a name change that would include its new sushi and raw bar. Deb Etzel owns a property close to the Beech Tree Cantina, and she voiced concerns that the name change would bring more visitors and more noise to the area.
I realize that this application may be bringing in more people, and we have a problem already with the amount of noise, even if just the amount of people noise in the Beech Tree. So I just wanted to go on record saying that right now the Beech Tree already makes the units, disturbs the peace of the units of at least 3 of the residences that live there. And so we're opposed to adding any more attractiveness to the area, because we're already fighting the noise issue there.
Have you notified the police regarding the noise that's disturbing you?
We have,
So
multiple occasions.
So there should be a record, huh?
Yes, we've spoken to Mr. Marr, we've spoken to Lieutenant Murphy. I'm sorry,
Have you spoke to the management of the establishment?
Me personally? No,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
live there. I rent the unit, and my tenant has spoken with them.
And it's my understanding at one of our meetings that they were going to soundproof the area.
What they did was, at the request of actually my tenant, was install what were supposed to be soundproofing interior, I don't even want to call them windows, but they're more like storm windows on interior of the unit. They have not helped,
But they've been installed, but they're not helping.
right. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure they've been completely installed. Aren't you missing one? We have another owner of it here as well.
Okay.
But I actually got a video on my email yesterday from my tenant from inside her unit, video with the noise, and it's talking at this point. Although some nights apparently it is music, according to the other resident. But she's threatening to walk out on her lease. Is what is my issue. It's making it very difficult for her to live there. She's got a high school student. In the spring, it was difficult for the student to sleep.
Lieutenant John Murphy said cutting down on Main Street noise is no easy task.
I was working through the weekend. I responded to a noise complaint at the Beech Tree from about the Beech Tree Cantina on Saturday night. The complainant called the police department because of voice noise, not music noise. I went to the area. I just happened to be parked on the corner of C Street and Main Street when the call came in. I walked into the area of the cantina. I stood 150 feet away, which is the town anti-noise bylaw as far as noise violations. The problem that the police department's running into is at that distance, it's very difficult to determine if the voice noise is attributed to the cantina or Main Street Hyannis or the Seaside Pub. There was no rowdy behavior, yelling, screaming, and hollering. When I walked into the cantina, there was a waiting line to get in. You could hear voices. So I don't know what the solution to the problem is at this point, but as Officer Maas said, I think we're going to need a little bit more time to further vet out what the true problem is.
The board approved the application despite the noise concerns.
The application before us this morning is to change the DBA to add off the hook. And I don't think by adding that would significantly increase the noise from wherever it's coming from. That's the application before us this morning. I know the management has made efforts to work with the condo tenants. What I'd like to do is approve this application, have the police who've already reached out to the owners and now the tenants, and I'm sure the management would work the best they can to rectify a situation. But I would rather discuss this after we have a more thorough investigation regarding the noise complaints, and we can get a report back from the police in a relatively short time, realizing that summer is sometimes almost over with us. But I'd like to approve this without further comment, and hopefully all parties can work together.
Commissioner Gene Berman noted that if noise complaints continue to be a problem for the Beech Tree Cantina, the town could lessen the number of patrons allowed at the... I'm so sorry. 3, 2... Commissioner Gene Berman noted that if noise complaints continue to be a problem for the Beech Tree Cantina, the town could lessen the number of patrons allowed in the establishment at any given time. Tonight, the Comprehensive Financial Advisory Committee will meet in the Growth Management Conference Room at 7 p.m. The Sandy Neck Advisory Board also meets tonight at 7:30 in the Selectmen's Conference Room. That meeting will be aired live on Channel 18. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.